Welcome to Design Your CEO Life. I'm your host, Shay Cannon. I have designed my CEO life to live and work my business from anywhere in the world. I started this journey in Belize, lived in Mexico for 3 years. After that, I was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, before getting back to my favorite little beach town of Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I am truly living my best life just 3 blocks from the Caribbean Sea. Thank you for joining me as I share conversation, stories, strategies to help you design your CEO life. This is episode 3. Fear rhymes with beer. Cheers. Fear is the tap on the shoulder you need to succeed. This conversation may seem a little one sided, but we're getting to know each other. We're on episode 3, by the way, so we're getting to know each other very well. So I would love to hear about you and how you like the episode. So guess what? You can catch me on social media. I'm at Shay Cannon COO everywhere. Just tag me and tell me how you like the episode. Tell me about you. All right. Well, let's get into it. All right. And you know, when I get into it, I have to be able to see you. So let's start with you guys already know my story of starting my own business to have freedom. You know that I moved outside of the country and I now live in Mexico, right? But did you know that there was fear around that, right? There was fear around the fact that my family didn't want me to leave. My family, I'll never forget. So the first place I went was Belize, but I didn't stay there as long as I stayed when I came to Mexico the first time. When I came to Mexico the first time, I was here 3 years. And I'll never forget that I was in Belize for a short time, and I came home for the holidays because it was my first time leaving the country. I had my youngest son with me who was in his senior year of high school. And so I already went through a lot just to get out of the country and get to Belize. Now, just like I told you in episode 1 and you getting to know me, I tend to jump. When I want something, when I want to do something, I do it. Some people see it as risk. I take risk. For me, it seems like calculated risk. I know I'm doing things that everybody won't do, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything that's such a huge risk that I know nothing about it and I've not done any preparation at all for it, right? Now, I may not do as much preparation as a lot of people, but I agree that I tend to jump and do things. So I jumped into entrepreneurship and I told you guys, don't do like I did and just quit your job and don't have enough of a savings and all of these things. I bet on me and I was very comfortable betting on me, right? Entrepreneurship is not easy. It's a lot of great things associated with it. But if you're not the type of person that can regulate yourself and problem solve and, come out of unstable situations, right? If you're not used to that, then that entrepreneurial journey without a safety net may or may not be for you, right? I decided I didn't want a safety net. I don't want to wait on a safety net. I decided I just was not going to fall, right? And so I love when I hear stories from people like Steve Harvey, who said comedy was his plan A. He didn't have a plan B. And he believes that having plan Bs allow you to not give enough for your plan A. I'm not like that because I am a planner, right? So I'm going to have a plan A and I'm going to have a plan B and I'm going to have a plan C. But I'm going to put my all into plan A. And plan B and C is really just an evolution of plan A. I'm not going to let go of what I want. I might just take a different route to get there, if that makes sense, right? So fear, my fear just looks different, is what I'll say. From the outside looking in, it looks like it's not there. So coming outside of my country and having my family feel fear, because I conquered my own fear first, and then I had to deal with other people's fear. So everybody was afraid for me. I didn't know anybody where I was going. I've never known anybody in any of the countries that I've gone to live. I've never known anybody first. I get there and I make friends and I make family and I make close connections. Because no matter where you go, you can find your people, right? And when I say your people, I mean your spiritual people, I mean your business people, I mean your ethnic people, your religious people, whoever your people are, they are everywhere. Okay. So if you black people are everywhere, right? If you Catholic people are everywhere. Um, all of those things. If you're American people are everywhere. You're right. So wherever you go, your people are there. So you will find a new grouping, a new tribe, a new community to expand the one that you already have. So fear derived from my support system feeling like I wouldn't have enough support, right? And anything could happen. And like I said, it started with my family. Again, they kind of got over the Belize thing because I was there, what, like 3, 4 months. And then I came home for the holidays. I was home for about a month. And then I left back out to come to Mexico. And I remember my grandmother just having a lot of anxiety around it. It was during a time where Trump was president, and he was saying things like they're going to build a wall between the United States and Mexico, and the Mexicans are going to build it, and they're going to pay for it. A lot of ridiculousness going on, right? Well, my grandmother was afraid. She didn't want me to come to Mexico. And I had to just remind her that I am a citizen of the United States. As long as I'm a legal citizen and I'm not doing anything illegal, I can always come back home, right? And as far as a wall, planes fly over walls every day, right? So I helped her to minimize that fear because I was going to do it, right? So the best I can do is try to help you feel comfortable around it. But I will never forget when I made the announcement that I was going to Belize. I was leaving the United States. I was taking my youngest son with me in his senior year of high school. I posted on Facebook, and the comments were astonishing, right? So you had people that were wishing me well. You had people that were like, I wish I was as brave as you. You're always doing things that you want to do no matter what. And then there were people with the fear. They're killing Americans. They're killing women. They're killing black women. Things are happening. They're robbing. It's a lot of crime. It's this, it's that. Well, I had already done my research, and I had already picked an area that was not, too crime ridden. And I live in the reality that there are some places in the United States that's worse than anywhere I would ever visit and want to live in another country, right? So there was a lot of fear. And for a moment, I almost let it overtake me because it hit me in a place of my parental heart, right? I'm taking my child somewhere that can potentially be unsafe. And then I had to go back into the fact that I had done my research. And as a mother, the last thing I'm going to do is put my child in danger. And so, I doubled down on that. But fear, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's not even your own fear, it's other people's fear. So I want you to have a big life. You need big goals. You need to do big things. You can't always play it safe. You just can't. Having big goals, it can be scary, right? It can be scary. And let me tell you how you don't even have to have big goals. All you have to have is some new goals to do something different and new from what you're used to, and fear will kick in. On a even lower level things, fear still kicks in. So it doesn't even have to be big for fear to kick in. So let's talk about why fear is kicking in. And it's because we have this part of our brain that's called the amygdala. I think I'm saying it correctly. But I like how other people call it monkey brain, right? It's just trying to protect us from stuff that's different. It doesn't want us, it's telling us don't do that because it doesn't know the outcome of it. We could get hurt in some way. And it's not always even physical hurt. Sometimes it's around emotional hurt. Sometimes it's around, we're going to say mental hurt. You know what I'm saying? But the brain is basically saying, hey, let's stay where we're comfortable. Now, let me tell you the bad part about that. You can't even assume that where you are that's comfortable doesn't hurt. already. That amygdala, that monkey brain, wants you to stay with what is comfortable and known, even if it's hurting you, right? This is why some people who are abused, they don't leave. This is why some people who hate their job, they don't leave, right? Because they would rather stay with the evil that they know than to go out and possibly hit an evil that they don't know. Rather than believe that if you leave the evil that you know, you can find better for yourself, right? So that's that thing that makes fear kick in. That's what it is. But it's worth having big goals. It's worth wanting to take and have big changes in life. Okay, I will admit that at one time I didn't understand that having these big old goals that you just have no idea of how you're gonna get there. Right? I was like, shouldn't your goal be something more manageable, something you kind of know you can get to on the way to the big goal? Like maybe we should just keep little goals and achieve that one and then do the next level goal and achieve that one. I didn't understand why we picked the big goal and that's what we're supposed to, believe in. It just didn't seem real to me until one day it clicked in that and it's funny because all my life I've kind of heard it, and I bet you've heard this saying too: reach for the moon and you'll, if anything, you'll land among the stars, right? Okay, kinda like that's cute, that sounds good. And then I got into business, and I got into operations and business management, and it wasn't until then that I understood the value of having big goals. And again, you know in my fractional chief operating officer services, all of my clients have revenue goals, right? In my coaching, I help people specifically get to their first six figures and beyond. So there's this monetary goal on both ends of what I do. So let's just take the six-figure goal, right? That's $100,000. Now, if you start a business and you say your goal is to make $100,000 in a year, you may not know how you're going to get there. But we can start with the goal and start to break that down to create the plan to get there. So we want to reach $100,000. Now we need to, let's divide that by 12, right? How much is that in a month? It's a little over $8,000 a month, right? So now I know how much I have to make in a month. Now to make that real, I have to understand what is my offer and how is it priced. Now, how many of those do I have to sell to make the $8,000 a month? So you see how we're getting a plan, right? We started with this big goal that we didn't know how to, but once you break it down, right? Make the biggest goal, then break it down, and let's start achieving these little portions that we broke down. Let's not make the breakdowns the goal, because what's going to happen is if you achieve it, you still really haven't achieved anything, right? So we can have milestones on the way to our goal, but we're going to keep our big goal and hit the milestones to get to it. And the value of that is going back to the moon and the stars. If you did not have that big goal and a plan to achieve that big goal through the breakdown and getting there, you may not get as high as you get with your revenue, even if you don't make 100K, right? So if you're just saying, well, I think I can make $2,000 a month. Yeah, if you think you can, you probably can. And when you do, how far away from your 100K goal will you be, because that's all you focused on getting, $2,000 a month. But if you focus on the 8,000+, you know what I'm saying, to get to the 100,000, then what happens is the things in the milestones are getting you closer and closer to the 100,000 than you would if you had stayed at 2,000 a month. So that is the reach for the moon. That is the 100K. And if you work the breakdown, you're going to end up among the stars, even if you don't hit the moon. But if you stay with the smaller, you're going to stay on the ground, right? So I hope that makes sense. I hope you're getting what I'm saying about go ahead and do big goals, even if you don't know when you make the goal how you're going to get there. Okay. Then what we're going to do is break those goals down and create milestones that are going to be stepping stones on the way to the goal. But the goal does not change. Okay. The goal stays big, hairy, audacious, scary. and we're going to do our best to achieve it. And because we're leaving that as the goal and working towards that, we're more apt to get there. Okay, so that's the pick. I mean, that's the purpose of having big goals, even though they scare you. So for you to have the life design that you want, I bet, I'm pretty sure it includes you doing some big, hairy, audacious things to change what you're doing now to get to where you want. And it's okay. Again, all we do is break it down into our milestones and we go for the goal. Okay. But fear has a purpose, right? Fear has a purpose. It's fight or flight. But it's a very caveman like purpose, right? It's a, is the bear gonna eat us type of thing. Like it's a way to evaluate situations and be ready if you need be, right? But when you feel fear, the first thing you need to do is evaluate. Is this actually gonna kill me? Right? Is this thing that I'm scared of going to harm me in any way? And then what is the evidence that there is harm? See, sometimes we have a whole bunch of evidence to the contrary of our fear, but we give in to the fear anyway. What do I mean by that? I mean, the last time you did something new and different and scary, you didn't die, right? The last time you did something big as a goal that with a little risk, right? No harm came to you. In fact, you kind of elevated. So look back and see, when is the last time you felt fear? And if you did it anyway, what does the evidence say about that? So we need to look at the evidence of harm and even look in past experiences, right? Because it may give us the momentum to overcome the fear. And sometimes, just sometimes, the change that you fear, maybe it's not an outright no, right? Maybe it's not a no, don't do it. Maybe it's a yes, but with specific terms, right? Maybe it's a yes with specific restraints and requirements. And that's a step better than just a no. So consider that too. So, what triggers fear? The biggest trigger to fear, I believe, is the unknown. It's the unknown. People fear the unknown. I mean, we go back in history. This is why we had the Salem witch trials. This is why people don't accept all kinds of forms of religion. This is why people stay in their comfort zone. They fear the worst about the unknown, even though there's no evidence to it, right? So, my biggest weapon against fear, and I want you to consider putting this weapon in your arsenal, and that is educate yourself and get informed. Educate yourself and get informed. And when you educate yourself, reevaluate the level of fear, because it either may be no fear now, or maybe your fear has ticked down some levels and it's manageable. Okay? So I like to say I fight fear with familiarity. Now that Alabama came out, and I don't even know I said that right. Familiarity, you know what I mean? Being familiar with something. Get familiar with something, okay? Um, so the more familiar you get with things, the more you know, the less there is to fear because you've informed yourself. Going back to the story about Belize and the Facebook post and people saying, that they were afraid and that I should be afraid and that I shouldn't go. I had to go back to how I educated and got familiar with Belize, especially the area that I was going into, to come out of the fear that they put me into, right? I had to go back and reinforce myself with the research, the education, and the information. So a huge tool and weapon against fear is education, information, okay? Now, again, I am definitely one that jumps. I do things. I see it as calculated risk, but people on the outside looking in see it as I'm fearless. A lot of people think I'm fearless. I don't think I'm fearless. In fact, I know that I'm not fearless because I have fear. I'm human and I definitely have fear. Um, some of the things that make people think that I'm fearless is, even during a time growing up as a little black girl in the South, and there being this connotation that black people don't swim. I was like a mermaid, so I definitely jumped in the water and learned to swim. I've experienced camping where you're just out in the woods and and slept good. I slept like a baby, as they say, right? But I like to try new things. I take chances in love. I've been married 3 times, but I will take a chance on love because all the things I take a chance on, it's because something I want is on the other side of that chance. And so I'm willing to take the chance to get what I want, right? I put myself out there to do new things and explore new things, and I'll do it by myself. I don't always need anybody to do it with me. I moved from Alabama to Georgia when I had been in Alabama all of my life. And, I knew a few people in Georgia, but I wasn't going there, like I didn't keep up with them enough to know where they were in Georgia. I just know at one time they had moved to Georgia. So it's not like I had friends that I had immediate access to. So there was that. You already know my story that I bet on myself and became a full time entrepreneur without a safety net. Of course, a bigger part of my story and my life design is I moved from the United States to abroad. And this is the funny thing, y'all. And I don't think I've mentioned this before in former episodes, but I have been living in Spanish speaking countries for 5 years, and your girl still don't know Spanish that good. I don't. I speak one word and two-word phrases. I talk like a toddler when it comes to Spanish. I speak like a toddler. I can definitely understand more than I can speak, and I can speak more than I can um, well, I think I'm saying it wrong. I can read more than I understand, and I can speak more than I understand, or I can understand more than I speak. One of those, right? But I definitely know my food words and my and my drink words, right? I know how to function, but I also live in a tourist area, so I don't necessarily need that much Spanish. But everywhere I've gone to a new country with no friends, no family, and didn't know the language fully. Okay, but I am still not fearless. I just do it anyway. I'm a rebel. I want what I want, and when I want something, I don't let anything stop me, not even me. So I want you to think about it because I don't want you to let fear to stop you because the life that you want may be on the other side of fear. So do it anyway. If there is no evidence of harm, do it anyway. If hmm, if you know everything you want or what you need is on the other side of that irrational fear, do it anyway. If you know what you want or what you need takes something different than what you're currently doing, do it anyway. Yeah, do it anyway. So as you know, I'm a CEO, and we're talking about CEO, design your life. As a CEO, I provide award-winning fractional chief operating officer services to an exclusive clientele of 7 and 6 figure CEOs. I've been featured in Time Magazine, Delta Airlines, Thrive Global, and more. In my coaching, I help solo and entrepreneurs to stop spinning their wheels, struggling to get to their first 6 figures in business. If that's you, I'd like to invite you to my free community. It's a free group where we build community, we create collaborations, and we have conversations to provide you with transformational business growth. So go to shaycannon.info/group and join us. That's all for this episode, y'all. It's been a pleasure having you tune in. So, CEO, go design a life worth living. Bye for now.